When it comes to buying a new home off of a builder's inventory, I know there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of worry, there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of fears, there's a lot of myths too. So today I want to give you some of my top 10 fears that I hear from people when it comes to buying from a builder, buying off of their inventory, talk you through all of those fears, and hopefully by the end of this video, make you feel good about buying from a builder's inventory. So here we go. Buying a home in any state, whether you're building or buying from an inventory or buying from an individual, there's so much that goes into it. It's such a big transaction, and I totally get it. There's a lot of fear that comes with that. So I want to help you maybe work through some of these things that you've thought and you're like, oh yeah, that's a big deal. We don't know what to do with that. Kind of talk you through it, maybe relieve some of that pressure. So by the end of this, that you hopefully have a piece about it. So fear number one that I hear a lot from clients is the price is non-negotiable. Like the price is what the price is. Let's debunk that. Everything is negotiable, especially with builders. Now, here's the caveat. When I say everything is negotiable, does that mean that they're going to give you $100,000 off? Probably not. Does that mean that they have a little bit of wiggle room on that price? Probably so. So the price is negotiable. But pro tip, there is more that affects your monthly payment than just the price. So if you're really wanting to negotiate like a pro and you're really wanting to get the best deal, let's worry less about price negotiation and more about incentive negotiation. So this is the point of saying, hey, instead of giving me $5,000 off the price, can we get a little bit extra in closing costs? So we lower our upfront or we buy down our interest rate or things like that. Or can we get, washer, dryer, blinds, gutters, other things versus the straight price reduction. So everything is negotiable. Let me remove that fear. You can negotiate with a builder, especially on things that are on their inventory, which is what this video is talking about, and things that can close quickly. So yes, let's remove that. We can negotiate. It can happen. Also, typically, the more you spend, the more likely there is a greater chance that you're going to save more. That's just kind of the name of the game. Number two, limited customization options. Now, I think this one is probably really valid, especially because today we're buying off of a builder's inventory, which means most of the time those design selections have been well thought through and completed, and they're not going to make changes, or that home is really, it's done, and you're just like, oh, we're just not going to make changes. So yes, that is a fear. But I want to give it to you like this, of like, hey, think of this as a blank canvas that has unlimited potential for you to do whatever you want to do. And because point one, because we save so much money on your closing costs or on your rate buy down, you're saving monthly, you have money to play with to make those customization options. Also, like there's a difference, I think, mentally between, hey, we're spending money to customize our home versus we're having to spend money to fix our home. Right. So on a resale side, there's a good chance you're buying something and, it's going to break. And you're like, oh, crap. Now we've got to spend money to fix this thing versus, oh, now we get to spend money on customizing this thing. So yes, buying off of a builder's inventory, there's not going to be a ton of customization options, but you still have the option to add your own personal decor, add your own personal touches. And honestly, you can probably do it a little bit cheaper than what you could getting it from the builder anyway, depending on what it is. But you have a blank, clean canvas that you don't have to fix. You just get to amplify, which is awesome. Fear number three, it is a rushed purchase. So this kind of comes into play, especially on homes that are either almost done or about to be done. A lot of builders have this thought of like, hey, if the home is done and we get it under contract, we want to close it quickly, which quickly means 30 to 45 days. So there's not going to be a lot of time to think about it. Like, oh my gosh, we're doing this and we've got to close it quickly. Again, especially if it's on inventory, especially if you're getting toward the end of the year and you're like, oh, can we close it in January? And they're like, nope, it's ready in December. We have to close. So it can kind of feel rushed. And so here's my thought on this. Just because it's move-in ready does not mean that you shouldn't skip the due diligence. And so here's what I mean by that. Yes, we are seeing a little bit of potential competition coming into play as we get toward the end of the year, as we get toward the end of quarters, and these incentives that these builders are putting out. So yes, we do need to get these homes under contract, but that does not mean we do not take the time to have the home inspected. Even if it is a home that is fully complete, everything's done, they just need to get the cleaners in there, take the time, get the home inspected. So you have that, you're going to have that time, get it inspected. You will also get a builder walk or new home walk or orientation or blue tape walk. Those words are all interchangeable. Every builder that I've worked with here in DFW does something along those lines where you're getting to walk through that home, inspect it, make sure it's up to standard, make sure everything is good to go, and bring in that third-party inspector to walk through that home, give you that peace of mind. So yes, it could potentially move very quickly, like 30 days, 45 days. But that does not mean you still don't have the opportunity to get yourself that peace of mind, to get the home inspected, to make sure that everything is good to go, up to par before we get to closing. All right, before we get to point 4, I just want to take a moment and tell you, my name is Zach. I sell real estate here in DFW. Specifically, I sell a ton of new construction homes. So that is my hope, and the thing that I enjoy most is helping people find a brand new home, whether to build or to buy. So if you're here in DFW and you're looking to relocate, or you're coming in from out of state or from another market and you're thinking new construction is the way to go, would love to help you. I'm going to put my contact information right at the bottom of this video. Reach out if you have questions. So this next point, I think is one of the most legitimate points, and I think it's a very real concern in a lot of spaces. And so this is the fear of, why hasn't this home sold yet? Right? That's very legitimate. Like, we walk into a community and, the builder's like, oh, we've got 20 inventory homes. And you're like, ooh, red flag. Why do you have all of those? And so we almost, at times, we feel like we would rather walk in and them tell us, yeah, there's one home. So it's like, oh, why is there 20? The truth is, we don't know. It is so, community dependent. It could be things like, hey, they're one of those builders that they do production on inventory. So think like, like Trophy or, Taylor Morrison, potentially K Hovnanian. Like they're building a ton of speculation inventory, right? Like, so they don't do a lot of contracted dirt work. They do contracts, frame stage or later on down the process. And so they have a lot of that inventory, right? So there's that potential. There's also the potential that people had contracts bust for one reason or another. Maybe they were building a home here in, Forney, and then they got transferred and their job has them working in Hazlet. And if you're not familiar with the DFW market, driving from Forney to Hazlet every day, you would lose your sanity in about less than a week. So it's like, well, we can't close on that home. Or, there's a number of different reasons. They couldn't get financing because they overextended their credit and they were buying at the top end of their budget and interest rates went up. There's a ton of reasons. And then that home comes back to the builder and it's on their inventory and they need to sell it. Side tip, when those homes come back to inventory, those are some of the best deals because they were not expecting to get those back and they need to sell those quickly. So you're going to find a really good deal. Find those ones that like, oh, we weren't expecting to get this back. So why hasn't it sold yet? I don't know. Also, there's sometimes it's just not the right fit for somebody that's looking. And they're like, hey, we need this, this, and this, and we need to be at this price point. Well, it doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. Or maybe the incentives weren't there. But it not having sold yet should not be this major red flag that something is majorly wrong with the neighborhood, with the builder, with the community. Like, just let's put that fear to bed. Hadn't sold yet because you haven't walked in the door. And I believe in those opportunities, they show up when they're supposed to. And every no leads us closer to a yes. So I know that sounds kind of out there, but that just may be it. Like, there's maybe a legitimate reason, or hey, they added inventory, or they just opened a new phase. So don't let that be a major fear of like, oh, everything is wrong and we shouldn't, why hasn't it sold yet? Fear number 5, buying off of a builder's inventory, is, hey, this home has the potential to be lower quality. This one is an interesting one for me because I think whether the builder is building it from the ground up with a contract on it and somebody's, that's their home, or they're building it on their inventory, like, it's the same contractor. Like, the framing guy that builds the home from the dirt that I have a contract on is the same framing guy that built the home that they had on inventory that you bought. It's the same across the board. And of course, these builders have their reputations to maintain, right? They can't, like, it's not gonna be like, oh, that house is good and that house is crappy, because like, that wouldn't make any sense, right? Inventory homes hold the same standards as build job homes. They get the same city inspections, they get the same builder walks, they get the same, all of these different things. The only difference is, you weren't there watching the whole process the entire step of the way. So there is the same quality that your neighbor got, that the people across the street got. It's all the same quality because those builders needs to maintain their standards and their reputations. Now, we've talked before at length, not all builders are the same. If you're looking for reviews of builders, there are extensive reviews on my channel about who I like, who I don't like, who we should avoid, questions you should ask, so we can eliminate that fear that it is not up to standard based on it being an inventory home. Of course, like we talked about earlier, I always recommend get the home inspected, regardless whether you started at the dirt or you got in at the end. Pay for the home inspection for a third party. Lesser quality is not going to be the case. Point number 6, let's talk limited warranty, because I think people hear this and they're like, oh, are they're giving us a warranty because they're worried about their workmanship? No, they're giving you a warranty because they want to stand behind their workmanship. Most builders in Texas operate under a 1-year cosmetic, so anything that goes wrong in the home, they're going to come and fix it. A 2-year systems, so HVAC, plumbing, electrical, anything system-wise that runs your home, and then a 6 or 10-year, depending on the builder, on structural and foundation. So they're giving you that warranty as a, hey, we want to stand behind our work. Some of these builders even, maintain their own warranty work. They don't hire out a third party because they want to stand behind their work. So don't see that warranty as, oh, it's a bad thing. See that warranty as, oh, it's a blessing. Like, you got a brand new home. But yes, even though it's brand new, it's not going to be perfect. It will never be perfect. Even being brand new, it's just not going to be perfect. But take that as an opportunity to say, hey, we have this, call it a safety net, call it a safeguard, a security, whatever it is. Like, hey, if something goes wrong, you have that warranty. On top of that warranty, you also have the manufacturer warranties on, your appliance, your dishwasher, your HVAC system, anything that was installed in your home. You have those warranties. Just make sure after you close that you go in, you'll have a booklet probably somewhere in your kitchen. Register all of those appliances to get those additional warranties. So don't see that as, oh, there's something bad. See it as, I'm covered, I'm good. And even like on the resale side, I always tell clients, hey, we can buy a home warranty. You can renew that every year. It's a minimal cost. It's the best thing you can do. So let's eliminate that fear of, limited warranty. Now, granted, you go in and you start kicking holes in walls and something breaks because of your neglect, they're not going to cover that. But if it is a material defect or a workmanship defect, most likely it's going to be covered. Fear number 7 is, I didn't get to pick the location in the neighborhood. So you love the house, love the floor plan, love everything that was designed, but you're like, oh, I'm worried about the location. Here's the thing. Sometimes this can actually be a really good thing. Builders, especially on their inventory homes, they'll tend to pick good locations in those neighborhoods, right? There's like, oh, we like this lot. They're not going to give you the prime corner lot next to the pool, unless that was like a house that busted, then that's a really great location. But you get to skip the stress of like, oh, we had to walk all of these different lots and see where it fits, see how it doesn't fit. So they're not trying to screw people. They're trying to put those homes in the best places possible because they want to make money. Like, they want to sell you the house. So not getting to pick the location, I understand that can be a thing. I also know that some people are super concerned about the direction that their house faces. It's like, hey, we need a south facing, or we need an east-west, or we want northwest. I totally understand, those are very valid concerns. So if those are things that are important to you, we just need to make sure we ask those questions as we talk to the builder. Like, hey, we want to see homes, but only homes that have a north or northwest facing lot. They can tell us that super easy. So don't let that be a fear of like, oh, we didn't get to pick the location. Maybe there's bodies hidden. I promise you there's not. Drive through the neighborhood, drive around, talk to the neighbors, adjacent on that street. And ultimately, there's probably a little bit of peace in that you didn't have to pick it. And 2, if it's coming off the inventory, there's a good chance that if it had a lot premium and then they built on it or somebody fell off on it, they've discounted that. So you're actually probably saving a little bit based on that alone. Fear number 8 of buying from the builder's inventory is there's no emotional connection. Now, here's the thing. I totally understand this. As somebody, we've built a couple of homes from the ground up, and there's something special about just watching it become a home, and watching it come together as like your house. For us, one of the coolest things that we did, and I've seen other people do in their homes, is I'm a believer. I'm no shame in that. So when our home was at drywall or pre-drywall stage, we walked through our home, and on all of the framing, there's scripture written all throughout our house. I watched my parents do this, before their house was drywalled. I've seen several clients that like do this, and it's a really cool thing emotionally to get to do that. So like, you're like, oh man, we missed out on that emotional connection of watching this home be built from the ground up and everything come together exactly the way it's supposed to. On the flip side, you missed out on the emotional connection, but you didn't have the emotional stress. You didn't have the stress of driving by a couple times a week and being like, oh, why are they working on my neighbor's house, but they're not working on my house? Like, what's going on? Or the emotional stress of like, there's like garbage everywhere or any of those things. So yes, you didn't have the emotional connection from the very beginning, but that doesn't mean that you can't build that in that home. Similar to what we talked about earlier with the design choices, you have that blank canvas. It's not a broken canvas. You have a blank canvas to go in and make that house a home, and to walk into a very beautiful space that you could easily start to build those emotional connections into as you call that place home. In this home that is, for the most part, is these builders, they hire they hire designers that make, solid choices in terms of color and textures and textiles and all the things that go into them. So on the downside, you didn't get to see it built from start to finish. On the bright side, you still have the opportunity to make those emotional connections as you go through your home. 2 more. We're almost done. Fear number 9 is the resale value concern. So here's kind of my caveat with this. If you're buying in the first phase of a neighborhood, like you're at the very beginning, and you're thinking you're going to sell, within a year, 2 years, 3 years, and the builder's still building, you might have a little bit of a challenge, because while their prices are going to go on up, they're still going to keep offering incentives. So if you're thinking, hey, we want to sell within 3 to 5 years, and they're still building in the phase, you're going to have to price accordingly, because you have to you have to get underneath where the builder's at and get even further underneath where the incentives are. But on the bright side, because you bought early, you probably have a wider gap that you can, do that and still make money and still do okay. Overall, pricing on homes, like we're still seeing, especially in the DFW market, we're still seeing home prices appreciate. And for the most part, homes that are like newer builds are appreciating at a greater rate than homes that are older. So is it going to make you $100,000 in a year? Probably not. Are you going to do well on this home over the course of 3 to 5, 10, 15 years? Yes, probably so. There is going to be some resale availability in that. You just this is kind of one of those, like, you need to kind of figure out your game plan. Like, hey, is this a 3-year house? Is this a 10-year house? Is this a 1-year house? Because if it's a 1-year house, you're probably not going to do well. Just putting that out there. Like, hey, if you're just trying to get into the market to start and then you're going to upgrade in a year, this new construction is probably not the way to go. This fear is legitimate. If you're planning on staying in this house long term, more than a year, probably 2 to 10 or more, overall, I think you're going to do really, really well, especially if you can like wait the builder out. Like if you can stay long enough that nobody is building in your neighborhood and you can start to resell then, that is when you will do well. And again, real estate is a long game. And so like over the course of the lifetime, you're going to do well on that home. Finally, fear number 10 is the financial hurdles. Buying a home is expensive, and anybody that tells you it's not expensive is a liar. You've got to have down payment, you've got to have closing costs, you've got to have all these things, and then there's just the whole like process of owning the home. So it is expensive. However, builders are giving incentive money to buyers like you to get you into homes. If you are buying off of inventory, those incentives right now are insane. Wrote a contract last week where the builder is giving my client 6% of the purchase price as a closing cost concession. 6% on, $600,000, which was their purchase price. That's a lot of money. And that money is going toward their closing cost and their interest rate buy down. They're doing very well on that home. So we've got builders doing that. We've got, temporary buy downs. We've got permanent buy downs. We've got all these different things. So like, don't let that be a hurdle to you getting into a home. because it's, you know, a financial burden. There are also down payment assistance programs that you could look at as a first-time home buyer if that qualifies for you. Just know that if you do that, the caveat is you're probably going to take a higher interest rate because nobody gives you anything for free. So they're going to want that money on the back end, but they would give you the money on the front side to get you into the home. You can get into a new home, you know, for as little as 3.5% down on an FHA loan. In some of these spaces, you could potentially go USDA and still get a really great home. There are options available. So yes, it is expensive. There are financial hurdles you have to come and overcome. There are things like you do have to have money. This is not like a free for all. Like you can do whatever you want, but there are builders giving away money to help you get into these homes. And again, as you know, quarters end and cycles end and years end, we're seeing some of these really great deals with, you know, 10, 12, 15, 3%, 5%, 6% concessions from the builders to move inventory to get people into homes, because it's a win for you. You get the house. It's a win for them because they sell the house, cleared off their inventory, and it looks good on their balance sheet. So that covers all 10 of our fears. I'm sure there are probably more. If you have more fears, I would love to have a conversation with you. Ask away down in the comments. Send me a text, shoot me an email, give me a call. Happy to answer any questions you have. My goal is to be a conduit of information, give you as much data as possible to help you make the best decision possible for you and your family. And that best decision is different for everybody. Just my job is to serve you guys and give you information, help you along the way. So if you need help in a real estate transaction, you're looking to buy here in DFW and buy new construction, or you're looking to sell, my contact information is at the bottom of this video. Reach out, ask any questions you need. I'm here to help any way I can. But as always, I can't help if you don't reach out. So thank you for watching our video today. I hope this was helpful. Hope I brought a little bit of peace of mind to you as you walk through this process. If you found value in this video, thumbs up goes a long way. You want to continue to learn about new construction here in DFW, subscribe to the channel. We have content every single week centered around new construction in DFW to try and be a resource for you and your family. And if I can help in any way, I'm here for you. So guys, thank you for watching. We will see you in our next video. Bye for now.